Hey everyone, welcome to another Q&A video. This video was supposed to come out yesterday on Sunday, August the 5th. However, my internet cut out completely in my house, like no Wi-Fi, no internet, no access to anything. So I wasn't able to upload this in time. So sorry about that. Hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video, which is Rob being Rob. But anyways, let's get into the Q&A that you guys wanted. The first question we're going to answer is one by Nerblex asking, what are your thoughts about console not having hip leaning? Now I chose this question to be the first one because this is a question I get all the time, especially on Twitch, and also a few other people in the Q&A post ask the same question. If you watch any PC player such as myself, you'll notice that we can lean in any direction without having to aim down sight. A lot of console players have been asking for this for a long time. They really want to be able to lean without having to aim down sight. While I agree it would be a great addition to console, here's the same question that I ask every single person who asks me on stream. What button would you assign to hip leaning? There is no buttons left. On both Xbox and PS4 they utilize every single button I think except for one. Now I haven't played console in a long time and I am holding my PS4 controller in my hands right now, but if I am not mistaken, for a PlayStation controller, X is to vault, C is to crouch, squares to reload, triangles to switch weapons, R2 I think is shooting, R1 is your secondary gadget, like a grenade, L2 would be aiming down sight, L1 I would assume would be melee or something, I'm not entirely sure about that one. But either way, you go through all the controls and every single one is used. I know one person on Twitch actually told me that apparently one of the PS4 buttons is not used, but either way, you still would need two buttons in order to allow the player to lean without aiming down sight. And a lot of other people have come to me with alternate suggestions where, if I'm not mistaken, right now to lean, you have to aim down sight, which is usually the left trigger, and then you have to either click the left stick or the right stick to lean. And people were saying, oh, what they should do is just make the left stick and the right stick by default lean in each direction, and then rebind the other stuff to when you're aiming down sight. But then let's say sprint is on left stick and melee is on right stick. Then now every single time you want to do either of those, you have to aim down sight first and then do it. Either way, the controllers are way too limited in their buttons. No matter how you slice it, there just isn't enough buttons on a controller. The only way they could ever add it is if they add more buttons, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Xbox Pro Elite Controller 3000, 420, whatever it's called, that controller has back pedals, which I think you can only really rebind stuff. Like you could put A to be one of the back pedals, but A still works as A. So you'd have to just add the buttons without making it rebind it. Overall, the console would just have to have a whole new default controller, which would have more buttons. And hey, if you ever want to be able to lean while not aiming down sight, just switch to PC. It is the better platform. Next question comes from Haru Rivers asking, if you have a chance to choose the next Elite skin for an operator, which operator will it be? I've said for a while that I would like to either have a Smoke or a Bandit Elite skin. I don't really have many ideas for Smoke, but for Bandit, I'm not sure what the skin would look like, but I know what the end animation would look like, and I even drew it in Photoshop for you guys to see. Basically, you'd have the normal 4 people on your team standing there in the celebration, and then Bandit would walk past the camera with 2 cables in his hands. And there would be a battery in the middle where he's going to go stand. And then he just looks at the camera, attaches both the cables to his battery, and then the camera starts shaking and then falls over or turns off. It'd be a little dark because it's basically saying that Bandit's torturing the person behind the camera, but I think that would be a really cool skin, at least for the celebration. The skin itself, I guess he'd probably have to be like an old biker or something because the whole point of Bandit is that he went undercover and that he was a criminal. So I think something like that would be cool. If I had to choose someone else like Smoke, everyone on the subreddit has already suggested a million times that like a Plague Doctor skin, that would look really cool. Next question from Edo HD asking, do you have siblings? Yes, I actually have 4 siblings, 3 older brothers and 1 older sister. I'm the youngest of the entire family. I won't get into too many details about my family because I like to kind of keep that private, but yeah, 3 older brothers and 1 older sister. Now a question from Omni Remix asking, the shield glitch is cheating, right? Actually, no. Shield glitching, which is where you put a shield horizontally through a window to prevent the attackers from jumping in, is not cheating, it's exploiting. There's a very big difference. Cheating, in a technical sense, means changing either the game files or using third-party software to completely do something that you're not supposed to be able to do in-game at all. Right now, the shield glitch is, well, a glitch, and people are exploiting that glitch. It's not an intended feature that Ubisoft wants, even though they've been really horrible about this. Basically, at first they said, oh yes, this is an intended feature, and for like 2 weeks, everyone said it was intended. But then as soon as some people called them out on it, Epi came out and he's just like, oh, I talked to my lead designer, and no, we never thought that it should be an actual feature. It's never supposed to be a feature. It's always supposed to be a glitch. A lot of people think that it's still planned, when really it's not. But it's still not cheating. It's just a glitch that they still have not fixed after 2 years. Question from Dalton Ross asking, do you think op bans should be added into ranked? 100% yes. I cannot wait for when operator bans go in. The main reason being is because a lot of the maps that most people consider balanced, while they are balanced, are incredibly repetitive. To name a few, Coastline, Border, Oregon, Clubhouse has been mixed up a little, but it's still pretty linear, and Cafe, like all those maps, while balanced, are super fucking boring. People do the exact same setup on every single map in the exact same order. Coastline, you go Penthouse, you have the double mirror setup, you generally win. Then you go to Hookah, you have the smoke setup, you generally win. Border, same thing, mirror setup, smoke setup. Oregon, same thing, mirror setup. It's basically just mirror. I would like op bans to be implemented just so we could ban those operators that make the game incredibly boring and stale. While I do really like Mira, and she is one of the best operators in the game, her strategies are very formulaic and very repetitive. And then also I'd be able to fucking ban Lion because he's the most annoying piece of shit in the game. Now a question from Darth Plagus, I don't know how to fucking pronounce that. The Wise, I know it's a prequel reference. People are probably going to roast me for pronouncing it wrong. Anyways, how do you prefer us to call you? Chris, Rockwall, VG, Varsity, etc. I don't really have any like exact set preferences like, oh, you have to call me this every single time. I'm fine really with either. But if I had to choose, I'd prefer people to call me Chris. Rockwall was a username I've been using for, I don't know, 12 years now. But it's always been just that, a username. VarsityGaming I see as more of a company name, not something that I identify myself with. So when people call me VG or Varsity, I find it kind of weird because in the future, I'd like this channel to be more than just me. I don't want it to be just a me project. And then Chris, I'm fine with because I don't really find that a personal name, mainly because no one I know in real life calls me Chris. Everyone calls me Christian. And the only reason I ever called myself Chris online is because I always find it really weird to say my full name. Like saying Christian to me sounds foreign and makes me feel weird when I say it. But saying Chris sounds like I'm talking about someone else, and that's how I kind of got over my, I guess, anxiety to talk into a microphone. Helped a lot there, but honestly, call me whatever, Chris, Varsity, VG, it's fine. It's just in the future, when I start bringing in more people to be part of Varsity Gaming, it's going to be kind of weird if you guys call me Varsity when it's not just me. Now a question from Bounty Hunter FTW saying, do you think that Thermite should get a buff of some kind? And then they mentioned that Thermite has a slower aim down sight time than others like Hibana, and Hibana pretty much outclasses him in everything. Overall, I still generally prefer to play Thermite over Hibana because Thermite's just so much better at getting walls. You get a huge explosion and way more visibility, whereas Hibana kind of makes angles that the defenders can easily hold against you. I do agree that Thermite should get a faster aim down sight time. I think the main problem right now with him is that Thermite was created in a time where they only had the base operators and no one else. And then now as we progressively get more and more operators, these operators are getting the buffs that the original operators should be getting, which is fast aim down sight times, fast reload times, all that stuff. And Ubisoft just hasn't reworked the old operators to align with this new faster meta. Realistically, the only thing I'd like to see him get is a much faster aim down sight time. He has the slowest aim down sight time of anyone in the game. And yes, technically he has a slower aim down sight time than Blackbeard, because Blackbeard only has a slow ADS when he has his shield on, which is his special gadget. But on his normal gun, I'm pretty sure it's faster than Thermite is. Besides that, I think he's perfectly fine. I constantly pop off as Thermite. I get a lot of kills. I breach a lot of walls. It's not that hard if you actually really know how to use him and coordinate a lot with your team. Hibana, I think, is more of a solo operator that you can kind of do your own thing and still win. Thermite, you need a lot more coordination. Now a question from Ducky asking, will I ever get bored or quit Siege? For the time being, I still like Siege. I do have my days where I just get really frustrated with the game and I just don't want to play it. Happens with everyone, but I don't constantly hate the game. I actually actively enjoy playing it, and especially playing with my friends. I think it's a very fun game, and with all these new operators and new maps coming out constantly, it's a really big breath of fresh air whenever the meta is getting stale. Now, if the day ever did come where I were to load up Siege like for a week straight and every single day I was like, I don't want to play this game, I want to play something else, then I'd either quit Siege or take a break. I'm not too sure. I never wanted my channel to be just a one game channel, but unfortunately it is what happened. So it's a tough decision to make when this game is my living, and if I don't play it, then I don't get paid. But the way I handle of not getting bored of Siege is I don't watch any content online. I don't watch any content creators at all, like no Twitch, no YouTube, nothing. I only play Siege when I have to, and when I want to record and when I want to play with friends, and then I only edit my content and throw it up. That's it. So I actively try to minimize my exposure to the game. And a question from EMCC asking, do you think they could add a map pick/vote into ranked but give different map options each game so the same one wouldn't get picked all the time? 100% no. The reason why is because I don't want ranked to end up like Pro League, where you keep seeing the same 4 maps played every single time. Right now, I think there's a total of 10 maps in ranked, and even though you're saying, give different options so it wouldn't be the same maps all the time, if you take, say, 3 separate maps from the pool, and there's, 4 right now that are constantly played every single time: Border, Oregon, Clubhouse, and Cafe. So you have those 4 maps. You have a 4 in 10 chance of one of them being picked, and every single time one of those are an option, everyone's going to choose that. I love playing maps that are very rarely seen, like Skyscraper, Theme Park, stuff like that, because it actually is a different game for once. If I had to play Border, Oregon, Clubhouse, Cafe every single day, I would probably just quit Siege. And the last question of the video coming from Reptilian Boy saying, with more and more gadget-based operators coming out, how do you think Ubisoft will stop IQ and Thatcher from being too powerful? So this question's really good because in the recent AMA, where the development team was on the subreddit and people were asking him the questions, they gave a lot of controversial answers. The big one being about Thatcher. People were asking, hey, why does Thatcher only temporarily disable Alibi and Maestro while it completely destroys stuff like Jaeger ADSs, Bandit batteries, mute jammers, all that stuff? And the development team said they really did not like how Thatcher was being played because they thought he was too destructive and too permanent, and they didn't like that his ability was just kind of a global fix-all, which I thought was a really interesting point when they released Lion and Finka into Ranked, or into just Siege in general. They're complaining, saying that Thatcher is too powerful because his thing is kind of just a catch-all universal thing, where they released Lion and Finka, which is you push a button and then you get a universal catch-all thing. And they said they're looking into ways to make Thatcher not be that type of operator, so they're probably going to nerf the shit out of him. I imagine they're probably going to make it where he has more EMPs, but he only temporarily disables all gadgets instead of permanently destroying them. And yet they're going to keep operators like Lion and Finka in the game where you push a button and you get one easy answer. I would personally prefer Thatcher just being destroy everything and only have 2 EMPs as opposed to give him more EMPs and only temporarily disable things. But Ubisoft is just deciding they don't really fucking care, and they're just gonna fuck over Thatcher and IQ as much as they want. IQ losing her grenades was a huge nerf that was completely unnecessary, but I don't know. I honestly can't predict what Ubisoft will do because I don't even think they know what they're gonna do. I'm pretty sure they're just taking suggestions out of a hat at this point and just throwing them into the nerfing and balancing team. Alright, and that'll be it for this month's Q&A. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for all the questions. I'm trying to pick different questions each time because a lot of people always ask me the same questions, and I'm trying not to repeat them. But since these videos are monthly, I kind of forget whatever I included in the last few months, and sometimes I might include duplicates. But remember, these videos are monthly, so probably in the last week of August, I'll be posting another question thread on the community tab on YouTube. And you can throw up any questions you want, and I'll put them out for the September Q&A. And just an announcement before I go, for those of you who do not know, I have a new merch store and a new design available on the store. It's a little chubby rook eating donuts. It's available in men's and women's t-shirts as well as hoodies. And I do have a separate page for EU shipping to make it a lot cheaper. Unfortunately, it looks like the prices are about $2 more. I did the conversions myself. I assume Teespring probably does their own conversions and it's not accurate. So sorry for the EU people, but if you order it off the EU store, you will get cheaper shipping. So just click the link down below to go see the store. And if you go to the store and you see that it says, oh, this shirt's only available for 3 more days, just ignore that. It's available permanently, but it prints every 4 days, which is what it's counting down to. So I'll see you guys in the next Q&A video, guys. Take care.